All right. Hey, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView. Question: how do you change the game? We're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about names popping in the combine, a mock draft, and advice for Big Whit because I know he's desperate to know what I think about his situation. And yeah, I'm Joe Terosian. I am a writer and I'm a pastor. I'm a sports writer, and I do RamView. I try to do it 5 days a week. A little tight today. I got my background set up today. I don't have my gear on. Feeling a little naked with that, but it's a busy day. I got a lot going on. Got a lot of running around to do. But I wanted to get this in early because I hate getting it in late. And so we're going to talk some Rams football a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit of combine and some names that are popping. And the thing I really did want to hit on was again how as we go into the 2022 season, which is what technically today's the 7th. I'm looking at the date there. We are 9 days away from the official start of the 2022 season, and I'm always reminded about how everybody's going to change the game. The game's going to be changed. What does it mean to change the game? We hear about it all the time, right? Does the game change on the field or from the front office? That's the question you have to ask. And I'll use this as an example. This is not a knock on Lamar Jackson. When he broke out in 2019 and won the MVP, he was stunning, right? He was unbelievable. And the game was supposed to have changed. No one ran like him. No one could make plays like him. And he threw well enough. Better still, you could see that he's mentally invested and a hard worker. And that's something that's carried through after 2019. This guy works hard. He's stronger. He seems bigger, and he's tried to improve. And you see the improvement. And just in point of reference, Kyler Murray couldn't carry Lamar Jackson's jockstrap because Jackson opened the door for the new kind of quarterback. And what the Ravens did, to their credit, it's the first time they got in a quarterback that were running with such a dynamic to his game that they actually built around him with the tight ends they brought in and the things they did on offense. They built to Lamar Jackson's strength. And that was a new thing in the NFL. Usually teams don't do that, but they did with Lamar Jackson, and the payoff was terrific. And so teams, again, copycat league, began looking for the next Lamar Jackson. And, they felt around a little bit. You could say Josh Allen is, but Josh Allen is an amazing passer. I mean, elite. You could say he might be one of the best in the league, if not the best. But some of these other quarterbacks that have come in haven't been that. A Jalen Hurts type. Everyone's hoping to catch that lightning in the bottle. I think if Jackson doesn't have a great breakthrough early on in his career, the back half of 2018, I think it was. Does Kyler Murray get drafted number one? I don't know, but I think people saw in Kyler Murray the ability to replicate what Jackson did. But one other thing that has happened is that we're kind of discovering now in 2022, 3 years down the pipeline from 2019, is that Jackson's an outlier. And again, this isn't a negative Lamar Jackson, but I think his wave crested in 2019. That means it's hit its high point. I'm not saying it's receding, but the bumps, the nicks, the bruises are all starting to pile up. And he hasn't repeated that. That MVP award was 3 seasons ago, and he's come nowhere near repeating that performance. And here was an interesting thing, too, is that when the Rams were searching for a quarterback, they weren't searching for the next Lamar Jackson. They weren't searching for someone who could do what Lamar Jackson does, take the RPO to a transcendent level. No, what they were looking for was a guy that could do the BTT, big time throws. That's a stat on Pro Football Throw Focus. I think it's, something that's 20 yards downfield and where and when it takes place in the game. But the Rams were looking for somebody who could make big time throws. They didn't go looking for a Lamar Jackson replica. They weren't looking for a poor man's version of Kyler Murray, or a poor man, which I think Kyler Murray is. Although Murray is a wonderful passer, he doesn't have the commitment. He doesn't have the attitude. I don't trust him. And that's all pure by body language. I'm not saying he's not a good dude, but I'm on the field. I wouldn't have Lamar Jackson trying to get me to the next level, because that dude plays with everything. But the reason the Rams went after Matthew Stafford was because of this. I'm going to throw 4 names at you: Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles. Do you know what they have in common? Besides being Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, they're also not Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, or Matthew Stafford, who are all elite throwers. Dilfer, Johnson, Flacco, Nick Foles could make throws, but Brady, Roethlisberger, Manning, the Mannings, Brees, Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, they were elite throwers of the football, and that's how you win Super Bowls. Since Jackson's been in the league, the game hasn't changed. The last 4 Super Bowl quarterbacks have been in order: Brady, Mahomes, Brady, and Stafford. And before Brady, it was Foles, and then it was Peyton Manning, and then it was Brady, and then it was Russell Wilson. And then Joe Flacco slipped in. Then it was Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning. You just see those names over and over repeating again. And these are the guys that make the big time throws. And Lamar Jackson can do some of that, but he can't do all of that. And therefore, it's still the same game. The game hasn't changed. There was this sunburst in 2019, but the game hasn't changed. And defenses are better acclimated to Jackson's style of play. So the next guy that comes in, even though Jackson's an outlier, the next guy that comes in with Jackson-type talent, the defenses are prepared for that. What wasn't seen in the NFL before has been seen now. There's film. And so that sunburst that was 2019, I wouldn't expect it to be repeated anytime soon, although I think Jackson's capable of a whole lot because you just have to love his attitude and his work ethic. So the game hasn't changed on the field. But again, this might be a rehash a little bit, but it's just important for you to know this. But what the Rams have done off the field has changed the game. Remember, first, they didn't go for a version of Lamar Jackson. They went for an elite thrower, right? And the paradigm in the Super Bowl era has always been draft picks. George Allen, a game changer in his own right, when he came to the Rams and then mostly to the Redskins, was always mocked for trading his draft picks. And if he had won Super Bowl VII, if he had beaten the Miami Dolphins, maybe history would be kinder to him. But he didn't win Super Bowl VII or go back to another Super Bowl, and his thought process was dismissed. Now, I think he dealt picks for players that were past their prime. He paid too much for players that were past their prime, but it was also his method to improve his team and get his team to the next level is he traded the future for the present. And the Redskins were successful in his years there. They made the playoffs in 72, 73, 74, 76. They were a playoff team all those years. And for 50 years, draft picks were the gold standard, right? Until you see what the Rams have done. And look what's going on. The Rams have won a Super Bowl, but over the last 3 or 4 years, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Jets have all been stockpiling picks. And you have to ask yourself, when will the Jaguars, Dolphins, and Jets turn the corner? The Rams were 4-12 in 2016. Since then, without a first-round pick, they haven't had a losing record, been to the playoffs 4 times, 2 Super Bowls, and have won a ring, all without a number 1 pick. What does that tell us? It tells us the ability to see that few players truly are worth being number 1 picks, but many are more often outdone by players taken in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even in the 5th and 6th rounds. Seeing that value and dealing the commodity of the first-round picks, the Rams have changed the game. If you're not using the Rams model, I don't know what model you're using. Yes, there are players who are first-round picks. There are players you should go and get. But how many first-round picks are going to make the Jets winners? How many first-round picks are going to make the Jaguars winner? How many first-round picks are going to make the Dolphins winners? We've been waiting, and when's this going to happen? But you know what the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and the Jets don't have? And maybe the Jets do now in Zach Wilson, is they don't have an elite thrower. And they didn't draft a Lamar Jackson clone, right? They drafted Tua, which that one seems kind of a miss. And then the Dolphins drafted Tua. The Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence, which, okay, I can see it, but he is a thrower. He just hasn't developed yet. But they didn't look for the Jackson clone. I think defenses have figured that out, and while that's still effective and Jackson will still be effective, it didn't change the game. How the Rams do business has changed the game. And there's this wonderful window, and appreciate it, because nothing lasts forever in sports, right? Because the clock keeps ticking. The Patriots are an outlier. It'd be marvelous if we got to where the Patriots were. But the Rams have a coach, a GM, owner, all on the same page. Appreciate what they're doing and what other teams aren't doing. And then hold the next coach, GM, and gasp, hopefully not, owner to a similar standard. Because what Rams have is unique. If you've been a Ram fan for a long time, you've seen nothing but dysfunction and terror, right? Georgia Frontiere was the Kim Jong-il or the Colonel Gaddafi of the NFL. I mean, she was just brutal. We'll move on. But right now, the Rams have an HC, a GM, and an owner all on the same page. And in comparison, the Dallas Cowboys, one of the number one brands in the NFL, have a so-so HC and an owner GM who's a hybrid there. So that they got a so-so GM, HC, and Mike McCarthy, and owner GM Jerry Jones. And within the context of that, let's just look what the Cowboys are facing right now. The possibility of not only getting rid of Amari Cooper, but also DeMarcus Lawrence. They're also stuck with the contract they gave Zeke Elliott. They overpaid Dak Prescott. And I think all they have to show for it in the last 5 years, or a number of years if you really want to go back, is one playoff win. I think one playoff win this century, right? Is that what that is? Maybe two this century? That's all they got. No Super Bowls, no conference finals. Maybe they should have kept Barry Switzer because they haven't been back to a Super Bowl since they kicked Barry Switzer to the curb, right? So what I'm saying here is Ram fans, enjoy this. Appreciate the nuance. Don't get caught up in MVP. Man, I want Matthew Stafford to be MVP or Donald to be player of the year. You know, there was a moment a month ago where I saw Aaron Donald crying and they were saying, Aaron, how was this feeling? And you know what that moment was? It wasn't when he got defensive player of the year. It wasn't even if he was handed an MVP trophy. You know what it was? You know how Aaron Donald was crying and just overwhelmed and said, I dreamed of this? It's because he won a Super Bowl. And that really tells us what matters. Don't get caught up in those. To me, again, I'm going to use my favorite phrase in 2022 is low-hanging fruit. When we get caught up in worrying about whether our guys got their love, got their appreciation, got their whatever, their props, about MVP or All Pro or Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl's a joke, okay? It's nice to be elected, but you shouldn't play. But when you see all that stuff, it doesn't amount to anything. As Ram fans, when we've got an HC, GM, and owner who are thinking out of the box, who have literally changed the game, we owe it to ourselves to study this game and see what they're doing and appreciate what they're doing all the more, right? And that allows us to segue into one other thing I want to hit on is Big Whit, Andrew Whitworth. I love you, and I know you're watching, Andrew, because you always watch the show, right? You never miss a show. But Andrew, bro, I really think it's March the 7th. We got 9 days here. Call it a career, all right? I like the idea of you coming back, but take a pay cut or something. You cost us 16 rocks. You're going to be 41. You got your ring. Are you going to give us? Can you guarantee us that you're going to give us at 41 what you gave us at 40? And I'll put you on this, Big Whit. Okay. Get your 16 to 17 rocks. I think you get 17 rocks next year. That's millions, folks. Rocks are a million. You get 17 rocks next year. I think it counts 16 to the salary cap. If you don't produce the kind of year you had this year, will you give us back the 16 rocks? Because I just want you to retire. I want you to move on, move off into the sunset. Or I've made this decision a month ago because now decisions have to be made. The draft has to be considered. Free agency has to be considered. We got Noteboom, Austin Corbett, Brian Allen. We got all these guys up in the air, and we're waiting for you, big dude. So make a choice. But let me give you this suggestion. Retire, stay in shape, and if Havenstein or Noteboom slip, fail, there's some mess up, come back in November. Come back in December and chase a ring. Keep that body of yours healthy for an entire season, and come back and give us, give us 5 playoff games and 2 regular season games. You can do it. You'll get another ring, but let the team move forward. Because here's the thing: I was interviewing a coach once, and it was a great line. I said, "So, coach, you excited about defending your title?" And he said, "We're not defending anything. That title's ours. We're not giving it back. It can never be taken from us. And he said, so we want to go forward and we want to acquire more titles, but we're not defending that title. That title is untouchable. It's unassailable. It's ours. And that really got me to wake up. And I think the Rams have to think that way, and I think they are thinking that way. But at a guy that's going to be 41 next season, playing left tackle in the NFL, I don't want to keep rolling the dice that the age of 41 is going to catch up. And I feel like if Big Whit stays, then we're defending a title. But I feel like if the move is bold and he steps away, maybe keeps himself in shape, and we secure up Noteboom, unless we think there's something better than Noteboom out there, but Noteboom's already in house, and there's a price range for him that is in the Rams' budget. That's about acquiring more titles. That's about 2022, 2023, 2024. And if we have to lose somebody or not take somebody or release somebody or stunt somebody's growth by giving Big Whit another year, Big Whit, step away. There we go. I said it. Let the hate ensue. Hate me for it. I get it. All right. Hey, a couple of names here as we hit the 16-minute mark. I want to remind you real quick, you can follow me at Twitter and Instagram at JoeT13B. You can go to my website, joetarosian.com. Please hit like and subscribe to this show. I appreciate all your efforts. I just love how it kind of goes up and down, just different days of the week, and post Super Bowl kind of come up, combine comes back, comes up. So I appreciate all that. I am a writer. I do support myself through this. I wrote a book. I've written several books, but the two football books I've written are this one, Tangent Dreams, and another high school football book called Temple City and the Company of the Ages. All my books can be found on Amazon. If you could support me that way, that'd be great. But I also, I'm co-vocational. I serve as a pastor in Burbank, and I pastor a small church in Burbank, and that's who I am. But I'm also a Ram fan. I spent 20 years as a sports writer. That's my background, but I've been a Ram fan forever, and this is the fun stuff. So anyway, with all that said, thank you in advance for doing those things. The combine and mock drafts are just popping up everywhere now. And as you know, I take the mock drafts that I find anywhere on the internet. They're not our mock drafts, they're my mock drafts, and I just add the names to a pile up, and it's on a board that I publish every Friday from the Ram Cave. And I just add names to it, and I try to highlight names that keep popping up. One of the names that keeps popping up is Max Mitchell, guard out of Louisiana. I'm seeing him on multiple draft boards that the Rams may be looking at, or I'm sorry, the experts think the Rams should be looking at. And so that just gives you an idea of a name that you could be familiar with in the nuance building of how the Rams do things. It's easy for the Cowboy fan or the Raider fan or the Jets fan to go, oh, look at the number one draft picks and just look and glance over it and say, I wish this, I want this. But we know with the Rams, we're drafting players that are not only going to help us now, Ben Skoranek, right? But could help us in a year. Bryson Hopkins, that could help us 3 years down the road. Nick Scott. And so these are the names that will be popping around. Max Mitchell, guard out of Louisiana. Another name that had a great combine was Dylan Parham, the Memphis center. We've seen his name several times on several boards. I am worried, as I've seen him at the top of a lot of lists, that he performed really well, that he will move into the top 100, and we don't want that. Rams are drafting, depending on which board you look at 103 or 104. Another name we just saw last week is a running back from Rutgers. His name's Isaiah Pacheco, and he popped at the combine, and the Rams had him in the Rams mock draft. He was projected and going in the 6th round, but you get a few moments at the combine and you raise your stock. Cole Strange is another one we talked about this past week, being a possible 3rd round pick for the Rams. Cole Strange at Chattanooga, he's a tackle. Matt Waletzko is another name that appears in the mock drafts and on the boards, a 6'7" tackle out of North Dakota. And Jeffrey Gunter is a name that has appeared a couple times in mock drafts. He had a good camp, good showing out of Coastal Carolina, and he's an edge rusher. Names that struggled at the combine that have appeared on our draft boards that we've looked at: Jermaine Waller from Virginia Tech and Kobe Bryant. That's the name that everyone kind of loves, right? LA could draft Kobe Bryant with I think they're projecting him in the 4th round. Some sites are out of Cincy. And but both those guys struggled at the combine. They didn't necessarily show fluidity in their movements and their hips, all that sort of stuff. Smart guys talk about, but also in their speed. And I know speed sometimes is overrated because we just measure the 40 and the straight ahead run. There's the whole word Jerry Rice ran a 4.7 and everything. But Jermaine Waller, a cornerback out of Virginia Tech, I think he ran a 4.6. And Kobe Bryant ran a 4.5. And again, that doesn't determine whether they'll be good enough in the NFL. If they've got technique and they can play, they can play. But it looked like everybody on the planet was running sub 4.4 at the combine this week, right? And so that makes GMs nervous, and it makes you wonder where these guys will fall. In everything that we are seeing here, in everything we're seeing, it is interior linemen that they believe the Rams are looking at. Everyone is projecting interior linemen, linebackers, not edge, but linebackers. I think the outside linebacker has almost disappeared in football, right? But edge backers and then backers, and it's linebackers, the cover backers, the Ernest Jones position, the Troy Reader position, the Traven Howard. Hopefully we bring him back. Position. They're popping up on a lot of Rams boards. Guys like Josh Ross, Brandon Smith out of Penn State, dynamic athlete, but raw in potential. A lot of cornerbacks, as we mentioned, Jermaine Waller, Kobe Bryant. That's what they see the Rams going after. And I thought it was interesting as the Rams drafted Ben Skoranek last year in the 7th round, like around 250 or 251, right? The mock drafts also have the Ram. 2 mock drafts show the Rams drafting receivers in the 7th round. Charlton Rambo from Miami was projected to the Rams in the 7th round. And Samari Torrey, a wide receiver out of Nebraska, which means he didn't get very much attention as a wide receiver. They're projecting him as possibly going to the Rams in the 7th round. So the Rams always draft receivers. It's just something you're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take a safety with they have 3 picks in the 6th round, and it's just stuff to keep an eye on. Well, all right. Hey, we hit the 22-minute mark. That is the sweet spot. I want to say thank you for clicking on, and keep following us. Keep leaving comments. I'd love to hang out with this, and God bless. Hey, I see like I got a comment from Paul Giaglone. I'll have a conversation with him. He's a poor 49er fan. Oh, poor guy. All right. We'll bring peace to his soul and tell him they don't have a chance. All right, guys. God bless. We will see you tomorrow. Check out joetrosian.com later today. FanView will be posted. God bless.